I'm Sergeant Travis Blue. Jump out a little bit. Biggest difference between when we start about the chameleons and the Duke systems. The Army, when we first started issuing ECMs, the Army came out and they wanted they went with the Duke system, which is basically it has a set frequency range based off of IED reports of what we found on rendered safe IEDs and detonated IEDs. The receiving device, whatever frequency that was working off of, that's what these ECMs try to go into that range. The Duke system is a passive jammer. So what it does is it runs up and down these frequencies, down to the megahertz and all the comm stuff and all that. It's actively searching on all those frequencies for an incoming signal to the receiver that will be placed on the device, inside of that bulb. And when that receiver tries to get that signal, the ECM is going to jam. The chameleon system that the Marine Corps went with was an active jam. What it did, it sent frequency signals out on that frequency scale like I was talking about, and it actively sent out stuff so that when that device goes to receive the command to detonate it, it's already taken up by another signal on that. That's the only difference between the chameleon and the Duke, and that's why the chameleon and the Duke, whenever they're around each other, one is active, one's passive, so they can try to attack each other. If that makes any sense.
Does that answer your question? All right, outstanding. Next. All right, unexploded ordnance. These are going to be pieces of munition. Okay, we got mortars, grenades, anything of that nature that is just laying around on the ground. You can find this anywhere in the country. We found smoke grenades out in the middle of the desert. They found 107 Chinese rockets in the middle of Camp Leatherneck. Now, one thing about unexploded ordnance, if you didn't see it land, then you don't know if it could be an IED or not. We'd rather have you guys call us out for an IED, and then we later determine that's just UXO, vice you guys trying to make the call and going, oh yeah, it's just a mortar, don't freaking worry about it. We'll call you. Some things about UXO, they can become very sensitive. The explosives inside are stable to begin with, but once they've been in the sun for a couple of years, they start breaking down, chemicals start changing down. So what you could once drop on the ground and have a nice day, changing the shadow or something could set it off, just that little bit of heat difference. The fuses can become corroded, but if they become penetrated by that corrosion, the internal mechanism can start malfunctioning, and the slightest twitch can now cause that fuse to go off. Next. Okay. Ideally, this is what should happen on a UXO call. All the other teams in the country are going to have a different outlook on how they want you to do things. Get with them if you have any questions. We would like it if you mark the device with a heavy, something that isn't going to blow away in the wind, highly visible object. It's going to be nighttime, give us a chem light or two to work with. We also like you to keep the guy that saw whatever you think it is around so we can question him and later on using the movement onto the item. Secure the area. Okay, don't let locals, don't let other Marines wander in, don't let that PFC have a grudge against you. Don't tell them to go kick it or anything. Just keep the area cordoned off, let us do our job once we get there. Next. Yeah, I threw in some pictures just to show you examples of what could just be lying around on the ground. Anyone tell me what that is? That just says smoke grenade right on the side of it. That right there is a smoke grenade from an LAD. They are initiated by a little switch inside, and once it launches out the tube, it goes off. If for whatever reasons that's sitting on the ground, you moving it could set that trigger off. Next. Okay. Can anyone tell me what that is? Now, hardcore tube. It says heat on the side, could be a piece of an air conditioner or something. God only knows. It's actually a piece to a Javelin missile. These are initiated by an electronic fusing action. The static shock, just walking up and putting your hand on this, could be enough to set it off. And you don't even know what's inside of it. The whole warhead could still be inside of that thing. Next. Okay, we have mortar. Again, you can see the fuse has been corroded. You don't know if it's been compromised or not. It's ready to function as it is, okay? Another dangerous piece of ordnance. You'll find this lying around all over the place. You might sometimes see the tail fin section. There's that little bit of silver right there, embedded into the ground. That looks like a little silver palm tree. Don't kick it. The mortar could still be attached to the other end of it. Next. One more thing not to kick, okay? And please do not do us the favor of thinking, oh, I'll go ahead and make it safer and lay it down on the ground. That fuse is embedded in the ground right there, and the slightest jarring of you messing around with it could set it off. Okay, next. Summary, all right, today we covered our mission, IED transit the areas, assets available to you, and my UXO. Do I have any questions at this time?
Hey, so
Yes.
like, what were some of the major differences you saw between Iraq and Afghanistan?
I'm sorry, I've not had the privilege of experiencing Iraq. Some of my other UAE veterans could.
Iraq, Afghanistan.
Sorry.
Biggest thing with Iraq, they had access to a lot of military-grade explosives, or ordnance rather. A lot of things in Afghanistan we're finding. I had one device the whole time that was actual military-grade ordnance that they improvised. Everything else was homemade explosives. So I guess you could say they're getting smarter with making stuff, but they don't have that supply capability that the insurgents did in Iraq. Now, what does that mean for us? To tell you the truth, they don't actually. I don't really like to say that too much because there are some bombers that do, but they don't know how much they need to put inside this jug or that jar that's going to kill you, maim you, or what it's going to do. They just know it's going to go boom, hopefully, if they set it up right. The stuff with the military-grade ordnance, that stuff was designed to kill and to maim. So when they set that stuff off, it's a little bit faster moving, going into detonations versus explosions and stuff like that. That's stuff you guys don't need to get into, but it hurts more. That's what I say.
The daisy chains between Iraq and Afghanistan, a lot of the ones in Iraq were linear, meaning there's one here, there's one here, there's one here. The daisy chains in Afghanistan, it's sporadic. You'll have one here, you'll have another round here, you have another round here. Anywhere you think you're going to hide or take cover, they'll put a device there. But it'll all be daisy chain. So you set the trigger off, all 3 rounds, 5 rounds, however many they have out there will go off at once, rather than linear like they were in Iraq.
They are, in a lot of the areas, putting multiple devices out. If you find one or if your truck hits one, don't start freaking out, running, driving around all over the place, okay? There could be other ones out there. We found 4 within, I would say, 75 meters from each other, okay? If your trucks get hit, you don't need to herringbone off the road to provide security. That truck will shoot just as well from the road than it will 20 feet off the road, okay? Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
One more.
As far as unit SOP that you saw there, as you said, potentially you embedded out that you're seeing units do. I mean, you've seen them do the bubble method, 5s and 25s, where you're doing circles. You see the dismounted V sweeps. You've seen trying to do vehicle mounted clears. What's the best thing that you guys have seen out there for Afghanistan?
There is no best. It's all your area specific. His question was, what is the best way to start sweeping unit SOP? You really need to start developing your own SOPs. Learn from that unit that you're taking over from, depending on how they were doing things. See if you can modify it. Oh, well, I don't like the way they're doing that. Let's try something different. People have learned and people have died trying to get these SOPs down right. There's a reason that people are V-sweeping, searching choke points, and utilizing the assets they have. It's been driven into their heads after 10 years of doing this that they've developed SOPs that pretty much work now. So talk to the unit in your area if you haven't been.
Started being touched on before too. Here's the thing I've noticed, with guys going up now. We have all this new armor now. We got the mine rollers, we got your ECMs and stuff like that. window now because we have all these big levels of protection, and this and that, and great huge trucks. What's going out the window now, really, to be honest with you, is your eyeballs. Nobody's looking anymore because I have a mine roller on my truck. If I get hit, that mine roller goes to the not me. But the enemy sees that, and he had a picture up there where a mine roller got hit, and that was that offset device. You know, they're like, okay, the mine roller's 15 feet in front of that truck. Cool. I'm gonna put my initiator right there. I'm gonna put my main charge 15 feet behind it. The biggest thing is eyeballs. And here's the thing: before you step out on a combat patrol, everyone's afraid of the ID. Everyone's afraid of the ID. They don't want to get blown up, this and that. Halfway through that combat patrol, Afghanistan, the terrain is completely unforgiving. Halfway through that patrol, now you're just worried about passing out. If you don't want, if it doesn't look like it's a little bit more of a hill and there's rocks and there's thorn bushes and stuff like that, if you don't want to walk on it, walk on it. Because Johnny Talbot don't want to walk in there and put a device in there either. All these devices are being found on little bridges across wadis that you can walk through the water in. They're being found on footpaths through wadis. Johnny Talbot does not want to walk off the beaten path. Just like a Marine with 100 pounds doesn't want to walk off the beaten path. We need to decide, walk off the beaten path, grip the legs a little bit more. You're still going to have your leg, but